and gentlemen, welcome to the Pop Art Hunter channel, and continuing our Animation 101 series, we're going to be talking a little bit more about storage and collecting. Now, I have talked about framing cells in the past, and in fact, in those framing videos, I have also talked about if you have a collection, you want to display it, you want to see it, you want to showcase it, and I even, sort of downed a little bit the notion of storing things in binders or archival portfolios and things of that nature. And I've not changed my tune completely, but I have sort of given a little bit more thought about it. And one of the reasons I did that is because I've started using the portfolios myself. And I thought to myself, I've become the person that I've said don't become. And I want to talk a little bit today about why you may want to store things in this way. Now, I still stand my ground and say you should want to display these. You should want these out in the open, preserved safely, but out and displayed, or out to be visible, or out in a museum, or out where people can see and touch with gloves and look at. You want these to be experienced and not tucked away and stored, so that in 50 years from now, when each of us are dead and gone, somebody finds it in a box or a storage unit, musty and moldy or damaged, or somebody finds it and it's like a long lost piece. After so many years, we never knew this existed still. And for 50 years, they could have known that it existed. So I don't want to falter on that, but let's go ahead and get started talking about portfolios and storage and how you might want to do that, if you might want to do that, and how I do it. So I've got a couple different portfolio sizes here. And this one actually, I received this for free, actually. I bought quite a few 13 by 19 prints, and it came for free. And then this one I purchased, which is a little bit smaller. This one's probably easier to get some of the cheats inside of. But this one is a little bit more compact as far as having multiple books and those types of things. So it really depends on which one you want to go with for the purposes of displaying and or housing them correctly. This might just be too big for certain drawers, or hanging them. Some people hang them in their closets, like they'll put them over like some sort of a hanger system or something, and have them dangle so that they're loose and the pages don't touch themselves, etc. I actually display mine upright like this inside of some sort of a box or a holder, sort of like flipping through posters, and there's enough so it stands pretty well straight up. There's not a lot of pressure on the cells. What's nice about these is that they have a couple different sets of the binders here, and the pages have multiple holes, so nothing is getting out of here. If you miss a bunch of different holes here, it's still safe and it's still secure. And so that's really nice, so things don't become off-centered or it doesn't rip through the plastic or the holes and things like that. So that's pretty nice. And also they have, which I've never found, oh, I guess I should close those. I've never found this particularly useful, but they have this kind of like cover piece that you can use, and I've seen quite a few people bind things a little bit like this, so you can actually put it together so it sort of holds things a little bit more securely. I don't really, maybe somebody knows something better than I do. I see if you're doing, you're traveling with this, you're going with a portfolio with all of your artwork, and you're traveling to an interview and you want things combined so things don't fall out. But this just seems like it would maybe press against the cells or hold them too tightly. And then also I might want to get into this a little bit easier. So every time that I want to get into it, to have to try to do this every time, it just doesn't work for me. So what I do is I like to leave it just in the back, so I have it in case I want to use it in the future, but I don't personally like to use it this way. But again, you can see this one is a little bit bigger. There's a lot more room inside here for multiple cells. I don't think I put this on correctly. Come on. So yeah, so there's more room in here for these pieces, which might be too much room. And so I like the smaller size better. For 13 by 19 posters that won't fit in here, this is a perfect size, and I'll probably convert that to this. But this holds the pages just as well, in my opinion. What some sellers have recommended, or some collectors, is that you actually use like Life magazine size baggies, or some sort of a bag to put on here so that it does not stick to the paper of the portfolio. I have done that I don't know why I'm using a glove on this specifically, because I'm about to open it up a little bit further. But what I did is I put it in those bags, and then they recommended having some sort of airflow. So what I did is I put the cell within the bag, folded everything over so that I knew how it would sit in there, and then I take the cell out. If I can get it. You know, the glove, here's the thing, glove. You try to do a good deed. You try to show people that they should be wearing gloves. And then what do? You make it really hard for me. And then it turns out that it's going to be where I'm not going to have it. So what I do is I have that, and let me see if I can put it on the back here. So I actually cut off the corner of this. So after everything is folded, I cut a corner off of here. After everything's folded, I cut a corner off there. And so there's a hole on each end of it to have a little bit of airflow. Some people, I think, just leave the whole side open. Again, these portfolios and the bags that I got are not big enough to do that just yet. So I would have to trim down the bag a little bit, get a different size bag, or put these in a larger portfolio. I'm not too worried about these. Again, these are not really that old, that premium, that high quality of pieces where I'm concerned that there's going to be significant damage or gas buildup before I'm able to actually put them into frames. But I think that does give a little bit of airflow there between things. I would suggest putting the cells separate from the paper, except for this one. I mean, there's literally a bag between them that's not going to cause anything. But here's the mouthpiece of Luigi, and so I put that in a separate bag each in a separate cell. And again, cutting out the backs, or cutting out the ends of the bag. I would highly recommend not snipping anything with scissors unless the cell is away from it. Just so you're like, oh, I'm just gonna move it out slightly and snip, and you end up cutting your cell. And so, so I'm using these as transitional pieces so that I can have these in here just temporarily before I actually frame them. And I think that they're kind of nice. So far, I've been using one side of the portfolio. In some cases with the paper, I'm not so worried. With just one thing, I'm not so worried. But if there's multiple cells, I try to put one cell on one side and not any additional weight within the folders itself. So yeah, these are what I'm using right now. They're Itoya portfolios, and they come in a variety of different sizes. So this is 11 by 14. I ordered the Life magazine 11 5/8, I believe. Yeah, that was enough to put there. You do have to fold things over. I would like it where it was just perfectly fitting within inside of it. But I that's just what I ordered. Yeah, 11 5/8 by 15 1/8 is the Life magazine Ultra Pro bags that I ordered. And then again, the Itoya portfolios, they come in a variety of different sizes. This is 11 by 14. I didn't order this one, so I'm not sure of the size, but it holds 11 or 13 by 19 posters very well, so it's got to be somewhere in that. I don't know if they measure, I think they measure the sheet of the paper itself, so it's probably like either 13 by 19, 18 by 24, possibly. I have to measure that. But they come in 14 by 17 and 9 by 12 and 8.5 by 11. So there's all sorts of different portfolios. And there are different types of portfolios. There are different types of portfolios from Itoya. These are without a binder in here. And so the thing that's makes me nervous about these is that you would get a lot of weight put on things, and also because there's a bend to it, there's a spine, versus these are kind of laying flat. This is going to possibly cause some bending or curvature depending on how they're displayed. So I use these for like poster prints and things that aren't original art cells with paint or things of that nature on it. So these are a cheaper, more economical version of these portfolios. And if you have to start here, this is better than nowhere. And then if you want to move up or have a little bit more protection, or be able to do something like hanging these in a certain way so that it reduces some of the strain on the cells, then you can definitely do that. So again, my stance is let artwork and let animation cells and let these things be experienced first and foremost. If you're getting to the point where you have so many portfolios and boxes that you cannot store them properly, or that people will never see them for the next decade or 2 decades, consider getting rid of them. Let other people share in these items. I just have a problem with storing things too long term. Now, the portfolios and the things that I have, they are visible by individuals. I can pick up the binder, I can show people. They're not in such a quantity that they're stored away in a closet somewhere or in a storage unit or something like that. But I also really use these as transitional portfolios. So when I get the piece, I will put it in the portfolio to help preserve it until I have a chance to frame it, until I have a chance to do something with it. But as you might have seen many shows about people with lots of clutter or hoarding tendencies, you can have 1,000 projects and never actually get to them. And so at some point, you're going to find that the amount of things that you want to do and the amount of things that you have time to do are just not going to line up. And so that's the point where I think consider stop having more intake, have more output, or reevaluate your collection and what you're collecting, how you're collecting. Maybe it's something that you want to up the type of collection that you have and the value and the quality of the pieces, and so you can get rid of some of the lower scale pieces. Because if you're just doing quantity versus quality, that might be a way that you can upgrade and then get rid of a quantity of pieces, but still have that joy of continuing to collect and continuing to grow your collection. Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that. I go back and forth. Now, in a few months from now, when I have a storage unit or 2 full of animation cells, we'll get back and I will defend myself on the video. But for right now, I'm taking the stance of use them sparingly. And if you're going to use them correctly, but try not to hide away these treasures from the rest of the world. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching the Pop Art Hunter channel. Like, subscribe, and comment. We will see you next time.